Charles Davis, good to see you here on the program.
I'm doing well. Before we
get you in the flesh, are you coming back? Are you coming out of retirement? Are you going to go back? Hey, you were just with Gruden. I saw that, and you and Gruden are tight. You want to patrol the secondary for Mayock?
You remember I never made it in the first place, so you can't come back to something you didn't make in the first place. So,
oh wow!
But even before we get to this,
yes, sir.
Johnny Manziel, double secret probation in Canada.
What the hell, right?
I mean, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Dean Wormer came in and dropped the bomb, and Johnny was like, I was on double secret
What probation was that?
And then to find out that they said, you can't sign with anyone. Like, you're off limits.
Yeah.
You are out of Canada.
You've got to get out.
Extradition
well done.
is taking place. What the heck?
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
Johnny.
and I can only hope it's not something that is.
Please not. Please.
I've always taken the approach with Johnny Manziel, who I met like literally for 2 seconds once. I've always taken the approach that there's nothing funny, and that there was. I think what I say on the show a couple of years ago, that there's got to be somebody out there looking out for him when he's coming out of like One Oak. You know what I mean?
Right.
At 1 a.m, 2 a.m, like look out for him. Don't take him there. Don't go anywhere. But
you know that right. Rarely works with anyone, if we think about just being real quick on this, right?
Sure.
Josh Hamilton and all of his struggles, he had some big moments,
right?
But how many times did he escape the person that he was supposed to be with, and they couldn't find him, and then when they found him, it wasn't pretty, right? Remember Pac-Man when he's with the Cowboys and they had the guy with him 24/7, and Pac-Man gets in trouble throwing down with the guy right next to him. So at the end of the day,
Pac-Man
you can
just got in trouble this week.
I know, and he doesn't even have a guy now. But he had the guy. Remember, Jerry had the guy with him 24/7. Pac didn't even like the guy,
right?
But he didn't even escape on that one. Remember, Pat got in trouble. Wasn't it a fight or something like that? And the guy was right there. So the idea that hey, if you have that handler, that's a great thought process. But if the dudes are going to do it, they're going to do it.
Charles Davis here on the Rich Eisen Show, and we're part of the On-Field Drills tomorrow, 9 a.m., right there on the NFL Network. We've got a meeting later on today at Lucas Oil. Good times coming up. What do you make of Murray not throwing?
Same thing I've made of just about everyone not throwing. It's a bummer for us.
It is.
It's a bummer for us.
It is.
But Sam Darnold didn't throw last year and went third.
Andrew Luck didn't throw
Andrew Luck didn't throw. I mean, it's a story for us, and I know that different teams will tell us, well, we like to see guys compete. We like to see this. We like to see that. But when it comes down to it, if they really like the guy, they're going to take him if they like him on their throwing. It's just a bummer for us because it's great TV, and it's great. It's a great way to see him with everyone else at the same time and say, hey, that's what it looks like.
And, Mayock said it this week when he was – it's still a little strange.
It's still strange, right?
Right? But, he's consistent. So him saying, I want to know what makes a kid tick. I mean, remember, the Jamarcus Russell pro day everyone was drooling all over, and he's like, hold on a minute, I don't know if this guy really wants to play football. So Kyler Murray, I think clearly by telling the A's we're done, paying back whatever needs to be paid back to the A's, and making some sort of agent change is moving a lot of heaven, moving a lot of earth. So he's told you that
he told us.
So even him not throwing here, you can't say, well, you're being inconsistent. You love football so much, and yet your passion will not bring you to actually throw. So then the question is why not throw? And now I'm already hearing into that void comes the fact, well, he's two bills. He's 207 pounds, and he's never been 207 pounds. So he's definitely not running at 207.
He shouldn't.
And he's definitely not throwing at 207.
No. This was just simply to win today.
So, but what does that
mean
to win
the combine?
Today? But winning today, at some point, he's going at March 13th. Right. Do you think at the pro day he'll still be 207?
No. Well, no. He'll be in the 190s.
So then why get up to 207 at all? What's the point?
I'm not sure. That one I don't figure, Rich. The one, to me, all he had to do to win today was stand there and be 5'10" and 1/8. Because once he did that,
be who you are,
right? Remember Lean on Me, Joe Clark, right? You remember? And I'm telling you, Rich, if my kids could hear this now, they would fall over in an absolute embarrassment, but they would shake their heads because I have co-opted one of Joe Clark's great lines in there when they were telling him all the things he had to do. And he said, I don't have to do anything but be black and die. And I use that line all the time around my house. And my kids are just like, oh, my God.
Enough, Dad.
All Kyler Murray had to do was be 5'10" and 1/8 today. That's all he had to do. He didn't have to be 207 to me. Okay, some teams may say they like to see that. Russell Wilson, I believe, weighed in at 204 at 5'10" and 1/8.
Weight to get to that.
Right.
He didn't add it.
But Kyler Murray has heard the discussion of how slight he is, the hits he's going to take. He's too little for this, and I don't know if he and his administration decided that this was the way to go. But he won at 5'10" and 1/8, Rich, which is incredible. And the reason I say incredible is timeline of football. If we had said this 10 years ago that a guy would measure in at 5'10" and 1/8, and we'd be going, okay, we don't have any more questions about that, we'd all be looking at each other. We'd say 5'10" and 1/8. He's too little to play quarterback in this league.
We were saying that in the first segment.
Right?
It's crazy.
And
Charles.
here we are, 5'10" and 1/8. He's now Paul Bunyan. It's amazing how that won for him today.
DJ,
but he won the combine today.
DJ came on the show yesterday and said that he gave Russell Wilson coming out of Wisconsin a second-round grade. Mm-hmm. And by hearing everybody say he's too short, he's too this, he's too that, he got scared and he gave him a third-round grade, and that's where Pete Carroll went and grabbed him. We had Pete now number one. He said that it was difficult to get through the status quo evaluation. Yeah. And I asked him who the status quo was, and he basically laughed. He goes, well, it was me. That was the setup that we had here. It was me. Like, even he had to get out of his own head.
Had to get out of his own head to do it.
To do it. And so that's why I was telling, Brockman will say here, Charles Davis on the Rich Eisen Show, and he's been saying for the last several days, that what's the difference between 5'10" and 1/8 and 5'9" and 3/4? And I'm like, well, the difference is do the math. Yeah. That's the difference. And that they be able to say he's 5'10" and 1/8, any sort of CYA moment that a scout can have with a general manager with an owner to say, hey, 5'10" was kind of the magic number industry-wide, and he hit that box, so don't blame me. That is kind of crucial in order for a team to go ahead and say, we're taking this kid.
Great point. And here's the other part for me is Eddie LeBaron, because I always go way deep, right?
You're in. That's why this is the old Gen Stat Show, right? So that's why you're here on the program.
So Eddie LeBaron had well over 100 starts at 5'7", 5'8", whatever he was, right? Uh-huh. He was the ultimate outlier. Then came Fran Tarkenton, whose first coach, Norm Van Brocklin, the Dutchman, in the Hall of Fame as a quarterback, used to tell him, Francis, you only leave the pocket out of sheer fright. Drove him crazy that he would scramble. Retired as the all-time leading passer in NFL history, 5'10". Another outlier. But in recent years, if we're going to add Drew Brees in, you add in Drew Brees.
This is great because we were talking about the timeline of this evaluation.
So Fran Tarkenton was still the outlier. They still weren't looking for Fran Tarkentons to come into the league. They were still bypassing the Fran Tarkentons that were coming into the league and going for the 6'3", 6'4" guy who could throw it through a wall. But think about recent years, right? In our time frame now, we could Brees, Wilson, Mayfield have now, to your point, I think, and let me see if I want to make sure I'm hitting it right and not put words in your mouth, Rich. Mm-hmm. That GM now has that carte blanche to actually be wrong, but take Kyler Murray. Meaning, if Kyler Murray doesn't become a superstar, your job status isn't automatically jeopardized because you took the 5'10" guy.
Well, you're
taking the 5'10" guy that people are saying may be the best quarterback in the draft.
Right, and the fact that Mayfield broke a ceiling, if you will, by being first overall at that height.
Yes.
Less than 6'1".
And maybe was the best rookie in the league last year, depending on who you want to ask.
Well, he's the best rookie quarterback.
Right, no doubt about it. And he transformed the franchise.
Saquon was the only one that could beat him out for the award this year at the NFL Honors. We mentioned Flutie in this whole mix. And
came along too soon.
Right?
Came along too soon.
He's a Heisman Trophy winner, one of the best players in college football coming out. Like, don't you think Flutie would be
You spent time with him, haven't you?
Sure.
Okay, you spent time with him, Chris. Have you ever seen Doug Flutie athletically outside of football?
No.
Guys, let me tell you something.
No kidding.
He's the dude that you pick in the pickup game, and then you stay on the court through lunch. Mm-hmm. He's going to win those games for you. I'll give you a very quick anecdote. I was hosting the College Football Hall of Fame ceremonies back when they were still in South Bend, and he went in one year. and I'm hosting the ceremonies, and they used to have this little like pickup game with all the honorees going in. Now, some of that was a little sketchy because there were a couple guys there with canes, and I mean, depending on their age and what had happened to them playing. Mm-hmm. Doug Flutie was on that field like a young colt. He was diving for passes and making catches. He was intercepting balls. He was doing things. He's that guy that if he came around now, we'd be evaluating him a lot like Kyler Murray. Arm, athletic ability, can create the plays, all of those things. He came along too soon, and when Mike Ditka called him Bambi,
that was it. But Ditka's from a different
era. But you remember what he said? It's like looking in the eyes of Bambi. And again, now missing the outlier. But remember, every time he got an opportunity, didn't he produce? Mm-hmm. But no one believed it for long. You know who he's the version of now? Case Keenum. When Case Keenum would produce, even after taking the Vice to the NFC Championship game, Mike Zimmer's like, nope. Let him go.
2007 Flutie Hall of Fame college football.
Yeah, I wish you guys had seen it. It was unbelievable.
Well, they don't make just Flutie flakes for nothing.
But in a way, was Michael Vick too soon?
Michael Vick's speed and electricity was so dazzling. Plus, the way he threw the football, that ball came off his hand like a flick. Remember, Flutie was much more of a full arm motion guy, so it wasn't the same look. I mean, Vic, when he threw it, think about it in your head, Chris, when you saw Vic go in the pocket and all of a sudden 50 yards downfield, it was a dart, right?
I remember the national championship game when he was a freshman.
And if we look, do you mind looking up the numbers he put up that day? Because in our mind, he was a 300-yard thrower that night and a 150-yard runner, and I'll bet you the numbers aren't close to that. But it felt that way watching the ball game.
Well, he's the first quarterback to win a road playoff start in
Green Bay.
Field.
And remember him running that day? Yeah. And plus, Michael Vick was built solid. He was 6 foot and thicker.
And I'm hearing Murray's a version of him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing because if he is drafted where he is, then the transformation's complete.
It's complete.
To go from a guy who's less than 6'1" to be drafted first overall, first since Vick to be that, and now the next year a Heisman Trophy winner selected in the top 5-10 at 5'10" and an eighth. Do you think Arizona goes ahead and does that? I mean, how real is that going to be in the next 2 months?
I had been adamantly no, and someone I respect greatly said to me today, they took a big swing for the fences with Cliff Kingsbury. You might as well go all for it. Don't think it's out of line.
Send Rosen elsewhere. I mean,
don't think it's out of line.
DJ gave us the scenario. Send Rosen elsewhere for a first-round selection this year.
Yep.
And you use that to supplement whatever you would be supplementing. Mm-hmm. Then you take your first pick of the second round on Friday night, send that to Pittsburgh for Antonio Brown. You got Antonio Brown, Larry Fitzgerald, Charlie Kirk, David Johnson.
Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk. Geez, I've been reading too much politics. Christian Kirk for with Kyler Murray for Cliff Kingsbury and David Johnson, and let's roll.
Listen, it's not an out of line scenario. I would not have gone that way up until these recent days. And when he stood up and was 5'10" and an eighth, and now it opens up the door even more in terms of that. I get it. What's interesting to me about it is just yesterday, I was walking with an offensive coordinator in the league, and we were having the discussion about Kyler Murray, and the big thing was, it reads 5-0, and then that next number was going to be the key for him. Was it a 9? Was it a 1 so you can get to 10? Mm-hmm. I said, what if that number's 8? What if it's 5-0, 8, whatever? And the offensive coordinator said, someone will still take him in the first round because they believe they could. I said, okay, so that told me a lot right there.
What if a punter showed up at the combine and said, I will not punt here?
How great would that be?
I will be measured, and then we're all talking about foot size.
Nope.
And all that. I mean, I can't wait to talk about that with Pat.
You know how much fun that would be for the punter to decline to punt.
I refuse to punt.
And then go to the podium.
I will not punt.
Rich,
I will do the interview process.
If that happened, you would be at the podium for that presser.
I'd be demanding. I'm not coming to your pro day to watch you punt.
You'd Mike Tomlin him? Would you Mike Tomlin him?
And by the way, he sent out a nice tweet about the Run Rich Run. This is going to be fun. And then, of course, you are the voice of Run Rich Run.
I'm fired up about it.
You do the simulcam part of Run Rich Run.
Fired up about it.
Watching me get housed by all the other prospects here and listening to Dion laugh the entire time. It's always fun.
Dion loves it.
It's already his big finish.
He loves it.
On the way here, Brockman saw me FaceTiming with my children and my wife. As you heard, as we pulled in, Susie did not have a guest for her official Lakers podcast.
Right.
They fresh off the Lakers with a big win over the Pelicans last
night.
Win. They tried to lose.
I think she did get a guest.
Okay. Who is it?
Well, I got a text saying, I might leave you for Chris Webber. Is that okay?
Oh, wow. I mean, you have to say that's okay. You have to say okay.
No. Just like she's clearly attracted to Michigan men.
But
clearly.
But you know what you said?
We're the best.
I know what you said, though.
She loves Brady. She's leaving me for C. Webb.
That's true.
Yeah, what?
When she said, I might leave you for Chris Webber, you said timeout.
Oh, excuse me.
Charles.
Excuse me.
Oh, that's by the way. That was
normally I do like
that was nice.
The Seton Hall grad chiming in from Los Angeles.
That's really funny.
Fantastic, Charles. I love that.
Sorry.
Wow.
Couldn't help it.
Your baseball point, Charles? What is that about with Kyler Murray?
Listen, we've all done our homework, so I don't think this is original or whatever. Everyone wants to do it. But I wanted to find out the true measure of this baseball-football thing with Kyler Murray. So I've talked with 5 different organizations, and the people I've talked with have ranged from scout through GM. And asked, what was the evaluation your organization had on Kyler Murray coming out? Did you expect him to go in the first round? All of them said there was rumblings that he would go in the first round. All 5 that I talked to said we were not one of those teams.
Yeah.
The second thing is, okay, what range did you have? Amongst the 5 teams, the consensus was rounds 3 and 4. Some said potential 2. Some said all the way through 5. Okay, I said, what were the issues that you would have and why you wouldn't have taken him in the first round? And they said, because, this is going to blow you away, because they all said the same thing. He throws the heck out of the football. But all 5 of them told me that they rated his arm as average in baseball, which is stunning to me considering the way we watch him throw the football. Average as an outfielder.
Arm
That's what all 5 told me. And here's the other part. Small, right-handed hitter who struck out over 50 times last year, even though he hit 296. Mm-hmm. They worry about that because, you want that left-handed hitter with the step and a half closer to first base, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, contact, all that other stuff. But all 5 said, we understand why Oakland did it, because Billy Beane is Billy Beane, and he tends to zig when others zag, and so on and so forth. But they were all excited about the possibility of him playing baseball because they said, we don't get these athletes anymore. They all go to football or basketball or somewhere else. They wanted to see how that would have developed. So they understood it, but they just said that first round was too rich for them, but they thought that 1 or 2 teams might take the shot, and Oakland was the team that did it, but they were really surprised top 10. So that's all I'm saying. For him, football is the absolute right choice, because the other part of it is we never give enough credence to just how hard it is to be a baseball player. We just don't give it. Think about the minors. Think about working your way up. Thinking about doing it that way as opposed to being the man on the football team and being the starting quarterback. He's going to make more money playing football.
Well, I just hope he's ready for the scrutiny.
I think he is.
No,
I'd be surprised he's not.
Because, it's not just what's going down with, obviously being a big-time college quarterback at a big-time college program.
One-year starter.
And being the big-time Heisman Trophy winner. And I've got 90 seconds left here. Let's be honest. This draft without him is not.
This draft
we're talking
changed.
about defensive linemen and defensive tackles.
And it's not as exciting.
No, it's not.
No,
So
he transformed the draft.
We are going to, between now and last Thursday in April in Nashville.
Kyler Murray.
And everything about it.
In your movie Draft Day, when Kevin Costner wrote down.
Yeah.
What did he write on that slip of paper?
Mac or no
matter Vontae Mack, no matter what.
Right, yeah.
You might as well write Kyler Murray no matter what. That's going to be the conversation. But I think he's going to be okay. Remember, the old man was a baseball player, came back and played football, and was a big-time stud at Texas A&M. Uncle Calvin Murray, Major League Baseball player. He's got the right support around him. They understand what it takes to be this type of an athlete, what you're going to go through. I know it's different in 2019, but I think the kid's going to be okay that way.
But I guess right now, like, what does it matter? He's 207 if he's going to cut the weight anyway.
He's going to cut it.
But he's only going to get up to 207 just to what? Not run and not throw?
And that's a bummer.
In the same way that why would he come on a show at the Super Bowl without being able to answer the question that you know he's going to be asked, and you didn't have a plan for that? And that's just, again.
Yep. It's part of the process for us, part of us to evaluate. But all he had to do was be 5'10" and 1/8, and he did it.
Check that box. I will see you at the meeting later on today.
I look forward to it. Take care now.
That's Charles Davis.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.